What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back live at Cheap Heat TV on a Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Trying to rock through this as best I can. I haven't really, it feels like I've kind of lost it, so I'm trying to get right back into the groove of it. So I'm going to bring my pod father, the man who leads the charge in most of this, and I know he's not going to like me saying this, the king of all wrestling media. I got it right, kind of, Gene Jackson.
Almost.
I
powered
through it quickly. You
can't say Podfather. That's a Conrad Thompson thing. He owns
Oh, come on. He wishes.
You're
the original, dude. You're the original.
Sued or something. I was doing it before everybody.
Can we call you the OP, the original Podfather?
Okay.
You can't.
I don't know if I'm comfortable.
You're not going to say no. We'll ask our guest.
Go ahead.
We'll ask the guest. We'll maybe even put it out in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. If you think he should be called the OP, the original Podfather, let us know. We would greatly appreciate that.
So we took a week off for WrestleMania, and now you're all out of sorts.
I came up with a great nickname.
I know, but before that, before we went on the air, you were like, "Oh my god,
it's frantic! It's all over."
I've never done this before. We did. Like a year and a half. We did like almost 2 years worth every Sunday.
Well, okay, so I didn't know this, but we were having backstage conversations, and my timer says 6 o'clock. Bang, 6 o'clock. Let's go. And you know my punctuality.
You've been ahead for weeks now. Like for the last, I don't know how many. You'd be like, "Hey, it's time," and me and Scott are like, "It's like a minute. What is he doing?"
Who?
But we didn't argue. So and then
who?
He still exists. He may have removed himself, but
enjoy your retirement. He's out on the lake fishing. He's had to go see a couple of therapists. Anyways,
y'all two introduced each other every week as your best friends. He's been gone for 2 weeks, and you just completely sold him down the river.
You have to in this game. This industry moves fast. Gee.
This game,
you know how
the podcasting industry or the wrestling industry?
Huh?
Are you talking about the podcasting industry or the wrestling industry?
Well, definitely not the wrestling industry. That was definitely not the wrestling industry. I can promise you, we can still
don't get me started on the freaking wrestling industry until we get our guest on here. But we took last weekend off to watch WrestleMania. We may talk about that a little more later, but
we'll see.
The consensus amongst most, and certainly amongst me, is night 1 was amazing, night 2 was crap. And I wish I'd have found a better way to spend my time. But anyway.
Unfortunately, I missed not to.
So we're about to bring our guest on. He is a accomplished and well-known ring announcer, and you will hear, as soon as he comes on, you'll hear why. He has a very
smooth voice.
Very radio-sounding voice, as Anders pointed out to him before we went on the air. And it's criminal that he's not announcing wrestling. So we're going to see if we can correct that tonight,
He's a Notre Dame fan. I guess we just bring him on.
Well, don't hold that against him. I mean, I told him before we went on there, it probably wasn't a great choice to. I wear this Tennessee hat to be a jerk and intentionally, because I'm not trying to get booked anywhere, but to come on here to clear the air and then wear a Notre Dame shirt, you're sending mixed signals. But anyway, spoiler alert. Let's bring him on right now.
Coty Coons,
wrestling announcer extraordinaire, Mr. Coty Coons. Coty, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you guys for having me on, and you're way too kind. You are way too kind.
So real quick, I was going to say quite opposite. So real quick, to be a Notre Dame fan, are you from here? Because you have like a Southern, like kind of, even like with your deep smoky voice, it's still got a Southern.
Born and raised in Muscle Shoals.
So. Okay, so why are you a Northern Notre Dame fan?
It started.
Did people pick on you as a child?
When I was in high school. I got picked on a lot. Mostly by my teachers, just because they were all Alabama fans. But
was it the movie Rudy? Is that what did it?
No, it wasn't Rudy. It was actually when I was like 4 years old, I saw Notre Dame play Penn State on TV in what was called the Snow Bowl. And you see the leprechaun flash on the screen, and it just stuck with me. Because I used to be Alabama and Notre Dame. I didn't become diehard Notre Dame until I got into like middle school.
Okay, so you remember at 4. I don't remember shit for being 4 years old. I apologize. I didn't think it.
It's one
sorry,
of those
Mom.
Things you see that, and it's just like that's an angry looking green guy. What is that all about? And then you get older and you figure out what it is, and you just connect.
The epitones. the underlying,
and it stuck with me.
yeah.
So I got to point something out here in the beginning. Like, so we've met, we've talked at shows, but mostly I'm used to hearing your voice ring announcing. It's very distracting to me, and I'm going to see if Xander's picks on this too. Does Coty not sound very much like our friend Jeremy Flint when he's just talking in his regular speaking voice?
It's weird because I don't normally like Flint's somebody I haven't spoke to, and how long's he not been on the podcast? Like
it's been a while.
It's been a long while, so it's not like.
He retired. He
came back and wrestled Paul Lee.
He lost the world heavyweight title of Hazel Green, Alabama,
to Paul Lee,
and retired. Because what else is there after?
I remember that show. I asked him about almost getting sued playing basketball.
That's right. Yeah, once you've won the world title of Hazel Green, Alabama, there's pretty much nowhere else to go. You've reached the tippy top of the wrestling business. But there's a similarity in y'all's voices. Like if I close my eyes right now, I was like, wow, this sounds like I'm talking to Jeremy Flint. So it's a good thing this is a video podcast, because if it was
right around the time when I finally graduated college, I'd had so many communications classes that my Southern drawl was almost completely gone. But
I hear it now, by the way. Thanks for reading.
It slowly crept back in.
It does. I was married to a Yankee for 10 years. She was from Cleveland, Ohio. She made fun of every word I would say that sounded Southern. And after 10 years of being married to her, I almost had no semblance of a Southern accent whatsoever. And then I married Rosie, who sounds like a freaking hillbilly. And it's crept its way back in, unfortunately. I don't think I sound that Southern. I kind of prided myself on not sounding Southern, and then I got a job during the pandemic, working from home, doing tech support for AT&T, and almost everybody, when they get on the phone, were like, "Oh my God, what part of the South are you from?" And it gave me a complex. Like I was like, "Oh my God, I sound that Southern," and so I almost quit doing podcasts because I didn't want people to hear my voice anymore. It was embarrassing.
Unfortunately for everyone else,
voice and diction video on YouTube could probably help you get rid of that Southern drawl if you really want it gone. So
there you go, Gene.
Good call. Let me work on that as we move forward. But anyway, so let's talk about some things. Like I said, you are. I've said this in the build up to advertising the show, and I've said this to people that I've been talking to, trying to help grease the wheels of getting you back out there. That, I mean, you, and I'm not just saying this because you're a guest. You're one of the most professional announcers that I've worked around. I mean, you have a professional appearance, your voice, you carry yourself well. And you want to, of your own accord, you stepped away from the business for a while and you've decided that you'd like to step back in. And I understand you're kind of having a little trouble doing that. So kind of tell us a little bit about how you came about walking away and kind of what all led into all that.
Well, I am very outspoken about my faith and about my political beliefs. Now, I'm not the kind of person that is going to try to rub my political opinions in your face one-on-one. If it comes up in conversation, I'll be happy to discuss it with anybody. But majority of my political opinions are voiced through social media. And I have no issues with anybody else that wants to voice their opinions. It's just one of those things, just keep scrolling and just, okay, well, that's their opinion. And I have always expected the same from others with regards to my opinions. But the end of June last year, it was about a week before New South's Americana show. Mentally, I was, and I'm not using this as a complete excuse, but mentally I was not all the way focused on everything 100% because my wife at the time was away at the police academy in Montgomery to become a police officer, which she now is here in Muscle Shoals.
Nice.
And I had come across a picture on social media. It was around the time of the Dobbs decision that defederalized abortion. And it was a picture of a famous professional wrestler with a shirt that had a set of ovaries and uterus on it. And it said on the shirt, "Get your own, then tell it what to do." So I just tweeted that picture out with a caption, how transphobic of him. He should know that men can get pregnant, have babies, whatever. Now, I was being very, very sarcastic. Not being serious at all. I was just
poking the bear. Poking the bear is
poking the bear, being a smart aleck.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to set that up, 95% of my everyday run-of-the-mill tweets go unnoticed.
Of course.
Do not get any attention. The only tweets that do get attention are wrestling-related tweets about New South, and that's pretty much it at that point in time.
Right.
I tweeted this out late on a Friday night, and it sat for 48 hours untouched. Not a soul interacted with it. And until Sunday night, late Sunday night, my wife had been home for that weekend and had already gone back to Montgomery. I had stopped by Walmart to get some extra props for Americana that weekend because I had planned on doing the whole brother
Right.
rip the skirt pose gimmick. Because Americana was and still is my favorite pay-per-view type show that New South did. Because I got to, as a friend of mine put it, go into business for myself for like 2 or 3 minutes before the show started every time and be a little Hulkamaniac again.
Right.
So it was always my favorite, and I was looking forward to it. But then I started to notice, and I'd forgotten about the tweet at this point. And then it blew up. Last time I checked, I want to say it had, and this was about a week or two ago, it had well over 37,000 interactions.
Wow.
That times it had been seen on Twitter. I don't even remember how many profile visits from the tweet. Almost 1,000. One person, and I had turned off notifications from everybody except people that I followed long ago. So it's probably a good thing that I'd done that, or else I'd never gotten to sleep that night. But there was one person, and I was told this several months ago, that had tweeted out a screenshot of the tweet and was like, "I don't feel safe attending a New South show." And I looked at it and was like, "This guy's from Chicago. I don't feel safe attending his city." Like, the safest place he would be is a New South show compared to the city of Chicago.
Right.
But it's a good thing I didn't see that tweet live when it happened, because I'd have probably voiced my opinion and just dug that hole deeper.
Yeah.
But
I will say this, through listening to this story, and I kind of got to deal with this even before getting into the wrestling business. I would go back and forth with people on the social medias, and the only really person it kind of digs yourself deeper with is yourself, because you're adding more to the fire that shouldn't even be stoked in the first place. And normally it's just smoke. If the fire that is there is not as strong as it says it is, and it just bleeds out if you just let it bleed out. It's one of those things to where it's not a fun situation, because no one wants to be on the end of you're this kind of a person, I could put you in this box. You don't like sleeping with that. That's tough to sleep with. I sat there and worried and sweat and all this other stuff about people putting me in a box that doesn't define who I am at all. It was just a conversational piece that I used to kind of say where I was holding. That's just it's not fun, but sometimes you just have to let those go.
And that's part of the problem with social media, especially since cancel culture has become a big thing. It's gotten to where we judge people based off their posts. We don't judge them for their actions. We don't judge them for their deeds and how they actually treat people face to face. And that's sad that we as a culture have gotten to that point. But either way, the tweet blew up, And I got up the next morning, went to work. Immediately, probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock, started trying to get in touch with Dump, and finally got in touch with him. And it was pretty much one of those scenarios where it's like, you know, something's got to be done. And I was like, well, I'm just going to resign, because at this point I had been getting notifications from people that did follow me, basically FU tweets and, you know, pretty much go screw yourself. You're a bigoted, transphobic, you know.
Would any of those,
whatever.
what would have those people said to your face real quick? But they would have said, do you think they would have actually said that to your face? Do you think they had the gall?
I'll answer that for him. No.
I just want to know, because that's general my curiosity on that kind of stuff, because like I said, I've been there with you, and people who's thrown me under the bus, and I mean, just for clout, just to walk around with that clout and then see me again, and we don't ever shake hands. It's unfortunate, but it just is what it is. You kind of, that's how it's kind of weeding themselves out, which, you know, luckily social media kind of lets idiots like that do for themselves.
So he said something needs to be done, and you offered to resign. So did you feel like he had your back at all? Like there was any other option besides resigning? Like, were they going to be like, hey, you know, probably not the best thing to tweet, but we can get through this type?
Was there a conversation, like even an apology?
The apology came up, but I nixed that idea really quick, mostly because I was telling him at the time, like, I'm getting notifications and alerts right now of this, and this. Everybody hates me. I am the most hated person in independent wrestling right now. What good is an apology going to do? And I'm going to start off with, I'm going to say this too. From my entire time at New South, and I know the reputation he has, there are things that go on backstage and went on backstage at New South that I disagreed with and didn't like, but it's not my show. I'm not the promoter or booker, so I have no say-so in it. There are things that went on that I disagreed with, but Dump was always very good to me. It was my spot until I no longer wanted it. He treated me like better than anybody else I have ever worked for. And even when this whole thing blew up last June, he still treated me certainly better than anybody else did. So yeah. I know his reputation, at least amongst you guys and a lot of people on the independents, but I still consider Dump a friend, and he was very good to me. Him and Brandon.
Let me ask you this. Do you pay money into Athletic Commission?
No, because I'm not a wrestler.
Okay, fair enough. Have you ever helped out in a show in any capacity? Do you feel like you're part of the business? Like
actively now?
Well, let's just say period. Do you feel like you were a part of the business at any point in time?
Yes.
Then pro wrestling is an organism that has to grow, because you see a lot of these, even now, you see a lot of these companies are going to thrive when they work together. The problem has always been that whenever companies start to, say, section themselves off at clicks and stuff like that, and wrestlers can't travel and make money, and wrestlers have to travel hours to get any kind of a decent anything around here, because there's so much animosity. No matter where you go, there is animosity. And it just seems a lot of people turn a blind eye because, well, he hasn't done it to me. And that's always my thought on that. And I know, like, people like to put me in that same box of, you guys don't like Dump. I understand why I don't like Dump. It's not even a conversation piece why that does not work for me. Why he should not be in charge of anything. And no matter how much, like, personal stories, in a private message, he's always been really nice to me. It's never going to be an excuse from just the stories I've heard, because what you act like in public is generally who you are. What you do in private is sneaky. That's your undercover stuff. especially in the wrestling business. I've seen that
Alright,
far too much.
we
I'm
know your
sorry.
feelings on Dump, and this isn't about Dump.
I'm
This
sorry.
is
I'm
this is
sorry. I'm
about his
sorry.
story, and his part of the story is Dump was
Yeah,
good to him, so don't
fair
get
enough. I do apologize, Cody. I hope there's
don't
no
go
No,
down
it's
don't
animosity
go
fine.
down
between
that
us.
rabbit hole.
We can talk about Barry Koloff if you want to talk about a moron. Sorry.
I liked
Yeah.
Barry. He was very good to me
I'm
as well.
kidding. I'm kidding.
So-
I like Barry.
Although I'm surprised Barry didn't make you buy a license to ring announce, because
Yeah, that's fair.
if you're inside the security rail, you have to get a
I was
license. He wanted me to have a license.
I
to
was
do
told years
commentary.
ago by Will Owens when the commission first started, you don't need one. You're good. So I haven't worried about it.
Well,
That's
that had
Will
been
Owens.
my take, and then I was going to go to Rocket City and do commentary, and I was told, "No, you're going to need to get a license." I'm like, "You're going
Okay.
to need to fuck off because I'm not doing that."
Okay. Okay.
There we
Sorry.
go.
I didn't mean to get you off on that.
Well, you brought his name up, so there you
I'm
go.
sorry. I'm
So he had a
sorry.
good experience, and you didn't. So
Yeah.
fair enough. So moving on.
But looking back on it, when I was told apology as an option, my immediate thought was apologize to the woke Twitter mob that came after me. That was my initial first thought with apology. I wasn't thinking at the time, again, because I had so much going on in my personal life. I wasn't thinking apologize to the locker room, just the locker room. I thought it was like everybody across the board, including Twitter. But
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm hated right now. Nobody wants a thing to do with me. What good is an apology going to do? I'm just going to resign and go away. So
did you feel hated by the locker room?
At that time, yes. Now, I found out later that evening when I had tried to message some people that there were people that had my back because they didn't bury me. There were people that buried me on social media, and then there were people that didn't even mention me when they were putting over the promotion. So not everybody was against me at the time. I didn't know it, but I found out later that evening that there were people that were at least sympathetic towards me and knew that it was overblown from the start.
Do you feel like the break has kind of give you a little bit different perspective on the business and how you should like kind of treat it?
Oh, absolutely. At the time, I thought I was done, completely done, because the business had gotten so, for lack of a better term, woke with everything at the time that there was no place for me just about anywhere. So I was just like, I'm just going to go home, be home with my kids, and have fun with them every weekend. Well, starting around, and now we flash forward to December of last year. It was early to mid-December, and my son's like, I don't even know why he brought it up to me, unless he just overheard me and my wife talking about how the Christmas show at New South was going to be in Florence. And he tells me, Daddy, I want to see you announce wrestling again. And I'm just kind of like, look at my wife. Okay, we'll see. And that's all I said about it. Well, a couple of days later, he brings it up again. A couple of days later, he just, every few days, he just keeps bringing it up. Finally, to the point where we get to January of this year, and I'm just like, okay, I will gauge interest on social media and see if there's anybody interested, let alone, whether I'm going to be able to do this again or not. And there was interest, and it's now developed to the point where I'm just trying to really get my foot back into the swing of things and get back into the business, not full time, obviously, but at least once a month, be able to do something. I would prefer to stay as close to home as possible, but that's why I went to you, Gene, about EPW, because they're roughly right around an hour away.
Right.
And you've told me that they were a very good promotion. The only other place that I would like to try to get back to, because again, they're running Florence once a month, is New South. Plus, I know everybody there. So those are the two places I would really like to get back to, just because of proximity to home, where I can still bring my kids to the show. Because that's another thing, is I want to be able to take my son and my daughter, because they love it. They absolutely love it, and they love to see me ring the bell and get in the ring and talk into the microphone and announce everybody.
Yeah.
And I almost took that for granted the first time. And now it's like, okay, they're the reason why I need to keep doing this, because until their interests change, they're at that prime age where they can just be like the true fan that believe it's real and just buy into it and love it 110%. Believe it or not, my daughter's favorite is Kenzie.
Oh yeah.
And Rita. She loves Rita Raccoon.
Rita Raccoon.
My
So
son
the Trash
is
Pandas.
Hunter Drake. He loves Hunter Drake.
Wow.
Can't get enough of Hunter Drake.
We have plenty of pictures. He would love this podcast. We have plenty of pictures.
He would love Cheap Heat.
And I personally love Hunter too. I've always loved Hunter, even when he was Thunderchild security.
I've never met him, so never had the pleasure.
I don't guess. I mean, I know I've been around him. I've been at shows he was at. I don't think I've ever met him.
Never been at a show.
The only interaction we had was on Facebook. It didn't go so well.
Well,
but, he's never had an interaction.
I don't have any dislike or hatred towards anybody except one person, and I'll finish that thought here in a minute. But especially anybody at New South, I don't have anything against them. Nothing at all. Not anybody. Whether they like me or not, that's their choice to have that opinion. But I don't despise or dislike anybody. The only person that I don't like is Terry Teague.
Come on now. Wait, no.
I was promised $40 to ring announce a show he was putting on, and I've yet to see that $40 because we had to stop after the second match because he couldn't pay the talent.
Listen, brother, I want to tell you this. After some of the stories I got to read from the great Terry Teague, and we have Steve Pleasing in the chat even agreeing with me. Terry Teague is the man. Okay, and I've been told about this by certain promoters in Alabama. It's about the damn opportunity. I hate to be crash. It's about the opportunity to be on shows with people like Terry Teague. You know, you knew Brian Christopher, best friends.
Yeah, turns out after Brian Christopher died, come to find out they were best friends all along. But that didn't come to light till after Brian passed away.
Listen, I don't want to get.
Don't play the bad guy taking up for Terry Teague. Terry Teague's a piece of shit. That's widely known and accepted. Shut up. He's in prison. He's in prison right now because he's a piece of shit. We're not playing that game.
He got arrested trying to shoplift from the Walmart self-checkout.
It happens to everybody. You can't tell me you did not pay for water that one time it was underneath your buggy. I'm just saying.
Oh my God! Shut up. What are you doing?
I'm not incriminating anybody, am
I? Anyway.
I'm pretty sure statute of limitations is long gone on that. That was
all right. So now that we've established Sanders steals water from Walmart under his
pre-pandemic
shopping cart. But no, anyway. So going back, so if you get a call from, because everybody knows Dump watches this show, he's a big fan. He comments on it. So if Dump watches this, and here's what you have to say, and he contacts you tomorrow, do you think it would be hey, come back and apologize to the locker room? And then in your head, not that anybody would lay this on you, but it's in your head, it's going to be like, okay, I've got to keep my thoughts and opinions to myself, my beliefs to myself, because Lord forbid I rock the boat and upset the woke mob of both Twitter and apparently the locker rooms of wrestling. And how do you feel about having to do that?
I don't know if a face-to-face apology with the locker room would work. I don't know at this point. There are some people that I have reached out to and been like, look, I'm sorry. It was stupid. I was in a different place mentally at the time with a bunch of stress and didn't care. Wasn't even thinking. And, I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize and ask you to forgive me. Can
I ask you this before you finish that thought?
Yeah.
Is there anyone in that locker room who is trans or who is directly related or with someone's trans who is rightfully that offended that you owe them an apology?
Can I just say, let me let you think on that one for a second, because this is my opinion on the whole thing. Is I kind of want to agree with you on this one, Cody. I see what you're saying, because it's not necessarily an apology of the joke. It's the apology of possibly jeopardizing any kind of like it's saving face. It is, you don't want that kind of look on
Okay,
TV.
so let me clarify then. So we're saying apologizing for potentially putting New South in a bad light, not necessarily apologizing that they got offended by what was said. Is that what you're saying?
Part of it, but at the same time, as I have spent time away and literally not a day has gone by that weekend and the events and this whole thing doesn't come up in my mind. It comes up every day. I have consulted people, especially people at church, that I respect and value their opinion more than my own, and have recently, over the last several months, come to realize, like, as a Christian, if you've got people that you are close to, and even people that you're not close to, people that you have, for lack of a better term, offended or wronged, if you have wronged your neighbor, for example, that you are obligated to go and make things right and ask them for forgiveness. And I have tried to do that. I have posted on Facebook and Twitter an apology. Now, I meant every word in it. Whether people choose to believe that or not, that's on them. But I am sincerely sorry for the not so much the tweet, because I do defend the tweet from a First Amendment perspective of freedom of speech, but the aftermath, the personal harm or hurt that anybody that may have been or may be trans in the New South locker room, that they felt targeted by the tweet, because that's not my intention. My whole outlook on the trans issue, if you've got person A, they decide that they are trans and they want to go through either the hormone replacement therapy, the sex reassignment surgery, all of it, whatever they want to do. Okay. As long as they're a legal adult, they are not doing this treatment with my tax dollars, and I don't have to affirm or celebrate it, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. Does not affect me. So that's my opinion on it. I do not care. They can do whatever they want to do.
And it's not really like, and this is supposed to be a business. If this is talking about you being within the wrestling business and being like a usable, because you clearly have the ability and the passion and the drive and the professionalism to do all of it. It's just a matter of like, if people find you a risk that might make some questionable decisions on what they do on their social media, and you've clearly made that clear that you've realized that your social media is probably not the best place to make an opinion.
I have brought it up to people before, like, what if I just delete Twitter? Because I hate Twitter personally. I just have it because I get a lot of news from it. So that's the primary reason I have it. That, and I keep up with sports with it. But
yeah, you just don't have to post.
If I was asked, would you delete Twitter? Yes, I would delete Twitter.
Well, no, you just don't have to post. It's perfect.
Like you say, 90% of the things you post are going to go unnoticed and uncommented on.
They do now.
Most people use Twitter as a gotcha thing of, hey, he said something we can hang him with, and now it lives there forever. And you can delete it, and still somebody's got it saved somewhere. They're going to throw it out when they want to. And
yeah, so it doesn't matter. Technically, it doesn't matter if I delete Twitter or not.
no, it's out there. People
But if
have
I was
it
asked
ready
to,
to
yes, I
draw
would.
it like a gun.
It's just I don't see why, if you're looking at a professionalism standpoint and you add value to the show more than what you're costing for the show, which seems to be the case with any work that I've ever even seen a picture of you doing, you draw more people to the show just by your presence.
Well,
So
I've tried to make the professionalism aspect part of my gimmick.
yeah.
I mean, you guys have seen the suits that I've worn. We did a St. Patrick's Day show last year. Of course, not on St. Patrick's Day, but it was even better that Notre Dame beat Alabama in the March Madness tournament the day before.
Anyways.
So
not helping.
They cheated. Something. I don't know.
It's Notre Dame. How did
they were like, we were almost ready to bring him back, and then he bragged about Notre Dame beating Alabama.
When the show was over, I got on the mic and said, "Have a great night and go Irish" to all you Alabama fans.
I'm sure
that's probably the real root of all this. They just waited till that. They're like, "Hey, we'll use this tweet. We can't really."
Now we have an excuse to get rid of.
You wonder where that Dr. Evil came from. It's because that Irish comment, that "Go Irish" comment in Alabama fan.
I don't understand how in wrestling and society in general we got to this point where people aren't allowed to have differing opinions on things, whatever they may be, and especially if it's rooted in their beliefs and religion and things like that. Well, but it's always the hot topics. Like, you could have went on Twitter and been like, I don't understand these, whatever.
Kenny Omega fans. I don't understand Kenny Omega fans. And you
could have insulted somebody, but I'm saying if you make it comparable, something like religion, like, oh, I don't understand, whatever.
Church of Christ compared to Baptist.
If it wasn't a hot topic, nobody would have noticed it, because everybody's on, high alert with, if you say anything remotely controversial about trans, we are going to nail your ass to the wall. And you did, and here we are. I just don't get it. It used to be people could express their opinion, and people were like, well, hey, I don't agree with that guy, but this is America. He has a right to his opinion, and I have my opinion, and we'll go on about our day. We can still work together. We can still do whatever, and we just don't agree on that topic. But now it's like, oh, you have a controversial opinion about something that the majority don't agree with. You got to go. You're out of here, buddy. Bye. Like, I don't get it. I don't.
I don't either, but I've still, and I double down on this. And I've had people at New South agree with me on this that have kind of been in my corner, that I've talked to within the last couple of shows I've been, that are very good talent in the backstage area. Just, how have I treated people, regardless whether they're part of LGBTQ plus or not? How have I treated you face to face? How have I treated you backstage, in the ring? I've tried to go above and beyond and announce everything the way you've wanted it done, how you wanted it done, and what you've wanted me to say. And I have always tried to do that, and even go beyond as much as I can to be as professional as possible. And that's just because a bunch of people, I think, majority of them, obviously based on the numbers of the tweet activity, random people on Twitter that have never been to a New South show ever,
and never will. The guy in Chicago is not coming to New South.
Misinterpret a tweet and don't even stop to think why they're angry about it.
You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, that's something I've tried to, like. I had a friend who's a pretty good friend of mine asked me. This has probably been 3 or 4 years ago. They were rambling on about politics, and they said, "Hey, I don't really know what your views are on politics or religion," and they rattle off, half a dozen things. I said, "Yeah, no shit." Because I don't put it out there anywhere. I don't talk about it at work. I don't post it online. I don't put it out there anywhere. I'm
I
like,
don't know
because
it.
yeah, Xander's is one of my best friends. He used to ride to work with me every day. We talk literally every day. He don't know who I voted for. I don't tell anybody any of that because I mean, I've got a couple of really good friends that if they really knew my stance on things political, religious, and otherwise, they wouldn't have a thing to do with me. I'm pretty sure, because I have found it does no good to express those things, because you can. I dare you and anyone watching this show right now, listening, watching, whatever they may be doing. You give me one example, just one example where anybody, anywhere, anytime changed someone's thoughts or beliefs on anything with a tweet, a Facebook post, or even stating it out loud at work or at
On
an
a
event.
podcast, even at a
On a
podcast. Yeah,
podcast.
not of it. No.
It's never happened. Not once has somebody been like, man, I was a hardcore Democrat, but that stuff he said makes a lot of sense. Or, I was pretty atheist going into this, but he made a pretty strong persuasive argument for Jesus. I'm going to church next week. Not happened. Hasn't
Well, I
happened.
used to be a hardcore liberal Democrat halfway through college until I got saved, and then my viewpoints changed.
Yeah. But it wasn't some dude on Friday night. Like,
no,
man,
it wasn't somebody giving a
we were
speech on
drunk at the
campus.
Huddle House, and that dude made some pretty strong points. It changed my life. No,
it wasn't anybody at the fraternity house, and it wasn't somebody on campus giving a speech anywhere. So
yeah, well, that's good to hear.
So
I'm
that's
glad
just
you have a little bit stronger beliefs in that.
It just is what it is. Like, I respect the way you're going about this. You could be mad, you could be kicking and screaming, being like, "This ain't fair. Screw all y'all," and all that. And you're not.
It was, for the longest time, there was enough negativity associated with this from the time it happened till whenever, and even now to an extent. There's been enough negativity that I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather try to be as frustrated as I get not being able to get my foot back into the door. I would rather try to have as positive of an outlook as I possibly can, even if it takes me 6 months to get my foot back into the door. It's not so much I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my son primarily, because he's the one that wants to see it more than anybody else. But I don't care what anybody's political persuasion is. I don't care how they choose to identify. I don't care who they prefer to sleep with, as long as it's not a child. That is not an issue to me. I can disagree with you and disagree with your actions and your life choices, but that's not going to change, especially if I know you, like a lot of the people I know at New South. That's not going to change my opinions of you as far as how much I love and care about you, especially from a Christian perspective.
My grandmother always told me I don't have to love or I don't have to like you, but I can love you. So absolutely. I mean, as long as you don't have to like any of these idiots, because they're kind of dumb. A lot of these people are dumb.
Well, a lot of them I do like. I do like a lot of them, and there's a few guys that they may not want me to, but I'm going to do it anyway, that have helped me through this more than anybody else, and that's Brandon Williams, Chris Crunk, and Cabana Man Dan. I love those three especially.
I'll give you an example of
three of them.
Look, I love Kevin Ryan. I just don't.
Oh, and I love Kevin.
I just want to shake him sometimes. Maybe dunk his head in a pool a couple of times. Long hair,
his hair
but he makes me laugh.
But that's not necessarily. Yeah, but
I laugh at him a lot too.
Yeah, at the expense of his stupid body. Okay.
Stay wasted.
But it's not. Nothing's going to change the way that I love and care about people, because I don't care. I can disagree with you, but I mean that's not going to change how I feel about you. I'm still going to treat you with dignity and respect and like a human being.
Okay, well, unfortunately,
and it's all wrestling. It's silly. It hurts. It hurts my feelings to see the way that the silliness of pro wrestling comes between people and the real life strife and bad blood and crap that goes along with that. A lot of times it's ridiculous, but it's a huge part of it. And as I've always said, and I will continue to say until my dying day, is the day that professional wrestlers on any level learn to create half the drama in the ring in front of the crowd as they do behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Everybody will be printing money. It'll be the greatest day in the world. But we wish you the best. We wanted to give you this platform to come on here and tell your story and hear you out. I don't know how many people will hear you from that side of the fence, because in all reality, most of them don't watch this, but there are a handful that do, and they report back. So hopefully they report the right thing to the right.
Was my next thing to say. A lot of the people that I really wish could hear this, I don't know if they did. I hope they did.
They'll hear it secondhand, because like I say, I know for a fact that things said on the show, they do make their way back to Old Dumpster Bear one way or another. And some of the people people you named a minute ago do watch the show, and I know that for a fact as well.
Well, I'm sorry. I just want to apologize to you, because if people aren't using you, your smoky voice, and your Jim Halpert good looks, then they're crazy. I'm sorry for blowtorching Dom. I don't normally do that, but I will apologize.
No, it's fine. I've been told since I got into broadcasting in college that you have like such a great voice. You should do radio, and I'm just like, there's too many buttons.
I'd
rather be in front of the camera.
We appreciate you coming on, and we hope things go well. And I will continue. Anyone I talk to, I always highly recommend you and tell them you're one of the most professional announcers I've ever had the good opportunity to work with. I know EPW, they have a full-time ring announcer, so I think that's the hold up there. But we'll keep.
Which I knew that going into
working on that.
I knew that when I first messaged Neil about it. Yeah.
But hey, you don't know if you don't try, and there may be times it pops up where there'll be an opportunity. So. Keep pushing. But anyway, we're up against a break here. We got a couple other things we got to cover. But thanks again for coming on, and keep in touch, man.
Thanks. I will. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a quick commercial break, and we'll come back on the other side and talk about some stuff that's going on.
A huge announcement on the other side, and this ain't one of those Tony Khan phony ones. This really is a huge announcement. It's unbelievable. Get ready.
I'm pretty sure I had a heart attack. Holy.
So here I am, right back at it again, just like I've always said. It's a corporate boy, here to make no friends, and I'll say, hey, right back at it again, just like I've always said. It's a corporate boy, here to make no friends. Let's roll with, you'll get it back up when.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday at noon, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school, but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Get ready to get inspired. It's Xander's Inspirational Podcast, the brand new podcast with Upbeat Xanders, as he has one-on-one podcast sessions that both inspire and inform. Check it out as Xanders has a one-on-one interview with some of your favorite people in and out of the professional wrestling business. Give it a listen on CheapHeatTVLive.com. Are you looking to have a good time? Well, head on down to Happy Hour Comedy Club and Restaurant in Anniston, Alabama. shoot you some pool, play you some darts, or head on over to the bar and get you a cold beer or one of them fancy cocktail drinks. They got all that. You hungry? Get you one of the best pizzas in Anniston or anything else off the menu. They got burgers, tacos, chicken wings, anything you want. Every Thursday night, they got open mic comedy and karaoke, and live comedy every Friday and Saturday night with some of the top comedians from across the United States. Go to happyhourcomedyclub.com for more information.
Oh, abrupt end. I do apologize. I'm sorry. I was scrolling through social media and trying to get stuff prepped for the other side of the show, but we're here. Sorry, Gene.
No, you're good. So, you want to bring on?
Do you want to bring him on?
Hey,
oh, hang on,
hey,
Delbert. What are you doing in the background?
Beans out of a can. It looks like. Or...
My bad. I was eating ice cream.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to take it back off the screen? I didn't know.
No, you're good.
Before we make the huge announcement, I just wanted to. I was going to bring you on for a minute and announce that next Saturday night, the 15th. Happy Hour Comedy Club, the Happy Hour Stand-Up Comedy Showcase. Buck Jenkins is going to be there. Delbert's going to be there, along with our friends Shane Knowles, Wes Sears, and for the very first time coming to Happy Hour in Anniston, we're going to have Tyler Fomby, who I did commentary with for the Prestige show. Maybe he'll have some insight on long lost Mako. And also, the headliner for that night is going to be James Etchison, who's a really funny guy. Everybody on the show is funny, but this will be James's first time there. Him and Tyler are funny dudes, so I hope everybody comes checks that out. Should be a fun night. And the show time is 9 o'clock, so no excuse for you not to be there. You can get there from anywhere by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Put your mind to it.
Believe in yourself.
It's going to be exciting. You should come out, Xanders.
Oh, don't even bother with it. Don't bother with that. Xanders ain't coming out anywhere.
I don't leave the house often.
He doesn't do
So, did that have alcohol in that ice cream? Don't lie to me.
No, it's just ice cream.
Don't lie to me, Delbert.
It's just regular ice cream.
Alcohol in it?
No. I like to shoot 50 cc's of heroin and then I eat ice cream.
Okay, I do apologize. I can see you've got your comfort bunny behind you.
It's a peep. It's like a giant peep.
Did you get to listen to the podcast, or did you make it confident?
I listened to it.
Okay, what do you think about Coty?
It's pretty great.
Awesome, man.
You saw it. You saw him ring announce at Rocket City and told us how impressed you were.
I do. I know him. I know that guy.
Are you going to eat that huge peep that's sitting next to you? That looks like that.
I'm going to eat it after I get done doing other things with it.
Oh.
That peep is my Easter date.
You're ruining Easter for everyone. I hate to tell you,
yeah, I mean,
God Almighty.
Goodness gracious, I mean,
I thought we flamed
Easter's a religious holiday, and we just had a Christian on the show.
I thought we flamethrowing dump and then was too hard, but I guess you doing. Oh, come on, Smokey, get the. Can we pull up the next?
That's a T-shirt that's available. Smokey's trying to plug the T-shirt store.
Go to our merch store if you haven't. Go to CheapHeatTV. What's CheapHeatTV.com?
CheapHeatTVLive.com.
Live.com.
And then everything CheapHeatTV Live related is there.
Can we talk about this stuff that I thought we were gonna have happen? Like I was excited about talking about this. I didn't know we were bringing Delbert on for it.
Is it what's going on with your mustache? Because everybody's wondering about. I get calls and emails all the time, and they're like, "What's up with Xander's mustache?"
I got tired of being bothered on social media about it, so I just shaved it.
I was getting to the thing you flashed it on the
screen.
I was getting there. I always have a plan, Xanders. Okay.
I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Okay, so the huge announcement. Even though Xanders, as usual, as always, he buries the lead and jumps ahead of things. So this is going to be the last weekly live Cheap Heat TV live episode. As far as a live weekly interview show, this is the last one. Okay. However, we will still have Cheap Heat TV live every Sunday night at 6 p.m. in this time slot, except we're going to have what is going to be known moving forward as Cheap Heat TV live Sunday nights main event. So it's going to be hosted by our friend Buck Jenkins. And Buck says that he has some of the best professional wrestling from across the South that he is going to be presenting and he's going to make the three of us on your screen right now. This is why I brought Delbert on. Do commentary over.
And it's exciting too. Boy, is it action packed.
So let me get this straight. Buck took our time slide.
Yes.
And now I'm not able to do I've been enjoying my interview segments. And just like the CMD one, I'm going to lose my interview segment again. After the CMD one, I lost my interview segment. I'm going to lose it again.
Well,
it's your fault.
You stunk
the joint out with
You stunk the joint out with that CMD segment.
We
were trying to promote New South and Gadsden, and all you could talk about was freaking flip-flop chops for 30
Well, that was years ago. I didn't think I was going to continue getting in trouble for it.
Well, we shut the show down for quite some time after that, and then your buddy started some trouble.
Who?
You know who. Don't play dumb.
I don't.
Your buddy started some trouble. So Buck Jenkins said that he is the least controversial of our circle of friends here, and that he was going to take over the time slot and run it the way he sees fit, and he's going to put on some Southern wrestling, as he put it, and he's going to make us talk about it. So you're still going to be on Sunday nights.
So that commentary we were doing is for us, that my time slot, my interview time slot, is being taken over.
So here's the thing. He talked to Smokey and convinced Smokey to take down the Patreon. So Smokey has suspended the Patreon. He's pulled everything off of it, and now it's becoming Sunday night's main event.
It's your fault, Xanders.
The good news is that stuff's pretty popular. I mean, need I remind you, that Bucky clip got literally over 40,000 views. Okay? Our guest tonight got a lot of trouble with a lot less views than that. Okay, so that's nothing to sneeze at, pal. That's a pretty big deal there.
But I can see where Xanders is a little upset. I mean, what kind of world do we live in where Buck Jenkins is the least offensive out of our group?
And I think that's debatable.
That should tell him something. Hey, when Buck was worried that people might find his name offensive, he changed his name and his entire persona just to be a people pleaser.
I made my name just
because he didn't want to be controversial, and then your little buddy goes and shakes things up.
Who?
You know who? Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it. Damn it. Do not get those 5 people stirred up again, okay?
Listen, I don't understand. I didn't have anything to do with that. He's already...
It's your best friend. Every week y'all would say, it's my best friend, my best
friend. No, old best friend. And
well, week in and week out, you announced that y'all were best friends.
I don't answer his phone calls.
And so now Buck pulled a power play with producer Smokey, and we all know producer Smokey runs this shit show.
So next Sunday, no interview.
Good news. You don't have nowhere to be at 6:00 next Sunday night, except in front of your computer or your television watching Sunday night's main event.
You're the reason Adam Warnski quit wrestling.
Well, you're welcome for that.
Hey, kayfabe, we're weeks away from that. That hasn't happened in our world.
If anything, I should be rewarded, like a key to the city or something. Peace.
Well,
you got anything else to say?
Hopefully, he'll come back eventually, because
he always comes back. He's an idiot. Do y'all have anything else?
First of all, nobody retiring from wrestling is the most overused horseshit term in the world. Don't put me on my rant about people retiring.
I'm trying not to.
Okay,
but you guys, I've seen it.
Number one, you don't retire from a hobby. Okay, it's not. You retire from a job. A job pays your bills. Nobody you know has ever paid their bills with professional wrestling. Least of all, Adam freaking Bucky Warski Primetime, whatever.
But listen, I seen it in a post where he said he retired officially. So that means somebody came from somewhere and gave him a watch, and they was like, "We don't need you no more," and they helped him.
Got down on the mat and kissed that grubby mat on an Alabama shit show. He got down there.
Okay.
Tongue kissed it, I'm sure.
Okay. Is there anything else?
There eventually.
Like I said, so I'm losing.
Next Saturday night, tune in live at 6 p.m. for the debut of Sunday night's main event. And the good news is you do not have to hear Xanders do live interviews on Sunday nights anymore. It's over with. It's done. Not saying there won't.
You should probably take this.
Bye.